Hi, happy Wednesday. Oh no, Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Good start. So, we might have to deal with some sounds of nature coming from my next door. There is construction going on next door. It's been going on technically for over a year, mostly for 4 months. Um, it's really terrible. They work at 7 in the morning, 8 at night. Yesterday on Labor Day, they don't seem to care when work time is. They just work when they work. I actually don't know how we haven't had this problem before when I'm broadcasting live that they've been working in the background. So that's a thing. Can you hear that? I don't know if the sound is good enough for you to hear. So yeah, today we're going to talk about relationships. I'm going to give it another couple seconds if people want to jump in. And if not, this is recorded so people can always come back. Let's see, Molly wants to say hi. No, you don't want, she does not want to say hi. She wants to make it very clear that she does not want to say hi. I'm not drinking caffeine at 7 p.m. You're drinking caffeine at 7 p.m. Okay, I'm just gonna get started. So, I have been in a lot of different relationships, different types of relationships rather, and I'm sure you have too. And with each one, I've definitely at least learned, if not learned from my mistakes, I've definitely learned how to make the next one better. And especially in the past year, I have learned a lot about sex and relationships. And relationships seem to be something that's on people's minds a lot lately. I've been noticing it with a lot of Instagram posts, things that people have been posting on YouTube and stuff like that. So today I'm going to be talking about relationships, and I'm going to be generally speaking from the idea of a romantic relationship standpoint, but I believe anything that I talk about today can also besides sex, can be applied to making a friendship more powerful and connected. So I also want to say that I am extremely pro poly, and if I'm not constantly saying partner or partners and specifying, it's not to be disrespectful. This can be applied to as many partners as you have, whatever gender you or your partners identify as. My goal today is to give you some tips that are going to help you keep your relationships happy, healthy, and spontaneous, which is one of the biggest questions that gets typed into that Google search bar and in emails and messages on Instagram to me, which is how do I make my relationship more spontaneous? So I'm actually going to share 18 specific ideas with you, and none of them include sex. So I have 3 sections I want to cover, and they are to be open, to work on yourself, and to nourish your relationship. And in there, we're also going to cover 5 important tips on communication. So let's start with be open. So you want to open your heart, and your heart can either just be open or closed, and there's not really an in-between. Remember to choose love over fear every single day, and that it's your choice to keep your heart open to your partner. It's a conscious choice that you have to remake every single day. You also want to open your mind. Everyone is going to disagree about something, so you need to allow yourself to see from their point of view from a non-judgmental place, and to not let that affect your view or opinion about that other person as a whole. Remember that when anyone is ever arguing, they always feel that they are in the right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be arguing. So when your partner feels passionately about an issue, try to figure out where they're coming from, and remember that you are accepting and loving the whole person and not singling out this issue to have separate feelings about. You also want to be open with communication. So communication is a huge maker or deal breaker in relationships. I have watched people who love each other dearly turn into a dumpster fire because they genuinely just didn't know how to communicate with each other. And it's like you want to just shake them and be like, they mean this and they mean that. And everyone would be just like, oh, but it doesn't work like that. Sometimes it's necessary to bring in a neutral third party to mediate and open the lines of communication, but the goal is to not be reactive and to be proactive, right? And to not let it get to that point. So the question is, how do we communicate well? And I have 5 tips for you. So you want to actually make small talk. That's actually a good thing to do. It may seem like after years of being together, you might like run out of things to talk about, but I promise there's always stuff to say. Point out things you notice in the world that are beautiful if you run out of stuff. So like, wow, what a gorgeously intricate door, or oh my God, look how cute that dog is, or I am so grateful for this breeze, doesn't it feel nice? Small talk can seem trite, but it's actually a really important way to constantly keep the lines of communication open. Number 2 is to actually listen and to be an active listener. So sometimes I'm a really bad listener because I get very easily distracted, and that doesn't excuse it. If I'm talking, I know I want my audience to be listening to me, and we need to treat each other how we want to be treated. So actually listen to your partner while they're talking and show them that you're listening by nodding, raising your eyebrows, subtly interjecting things like, yeah, wow, or what, and try your best to not silently judge what the person is saying or plan what you're going to say next, or just go off daydreaming. Number 3 is don't stop asking questions. So after a while, we think we know our partner's best. And while that might be true, like relative to anyone else on the planet, like, do we really know them better than they know themselves? There's always the idea that they're only the person that has been there for 100% of their experiences. Remember that. Like, there's always more to learn, even if it's just their opinions on things. So read articles, ask them what they think, have discussions, even if they turn into debates. Like, the truth is, people love to be asked questions, and asking your partner questions shows that you are interested in them, and that is sexy. Number 4 is don't forget to talk about yourself. So I'm not talking about being a non-stop talk machine that doesn't end and only cares about blabbering about what you did that day without stopping to ask about the other person. I'm reminding you that sometimes we get into autopilot mode where we get asked about how our day was, and we're just like, fine, it was fine. And we forget to share things, including our emotions, and that slowly pushes each other away. It slowly pushes us further and further away mentally and emotionally from our partner. So no one is a mind reader, and that means that you have to share about yourself if another person is going to know what's going on. And that includes expressing what your needs are. Number 5 and last tip on communication is to take the word fine out of your vocabulary. I know this is really specific, but in the English language, I've seen the word fine destroy conversations that led to the demise of communication in relationships and ultimately the relationships themselves. I am talking about rather, when someone asks you how you're doing and you say fine and you're not fine. So that's what I'm talking about. If you're not fine, you need to express that you're not fine. None of this like saying you're fine and then acting pissy for hours and then having your partner ask you over and over and over again what's wrong 20 times until you finally give in and explode in anger, or bottle that anger up and explode 20 days later in a ball of irrational fury. Like, even if you're not a natural communicator or someone who just like prefers to brood a little and think things over before you're ready to talk, you can still just say, like, I'm not fine, I'm upset right now, but I need a little bit before I'm ready to talk. That's it. That's fine. That's all I'm asking you to do. It might cause some tension, but it creates communication and truth. The word fine when you're not fine is toxic. Hello. Okay, the next section, moving out of being open and moving on to working on yourself. Remember that as much as your relationship is important, you're still an independent person and you come first. So your personal development is paramount, and really the more that you work on yourself, the more your relationship has potential to grow. So ultimately, working on yourself is working on your relationship. We all have hangups that are bound to spill over into our relationships. It's just natural. So take responsibility for your own shit. If we do the self-work on these issues, our relationships and ourselves will be happier places and people. Some specific things that you can do and like work on are not complaining. That's a not easy one. Or like letting go of grudges. And forgiving things from the past and not bringing up past arguments. And then also being reliable and dependable. So these are all really difficult things to do. They're not things that are fun or easy. But if you can demonstrate to your partner that you are loyal to them and that once you forgive them, you truly do move on, I promise that you're going to create a level of trust that is stronger than you thought possible. You are also going to inspire your partner. So remember though that like all you can do is keep vibing at a high level and wait for them to join you up here. No one will join you at a higher level until they are ready. But if you keep your vibrations high, most people will rise to the occasion and meet you there. And if you keep your vibrations high for a significant period of time and see that they aren't meeting you there, then you can communicate your concerns and go from there. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say about working on yourself. You know what you need to work on. Just saying that working on yourself is working on your relationship. Okay, the third section that I want to talk about, and this is the last section, but this is the section that's also talking about spontaneity, is nourishing the relationship. So this is where love languages come into play. If you haven't taken the 5 love languages quiz, it's free online and you definitely should take it. And it ultimately doesn't help us nearly as much if you don't have your partner take it too. So take it together as an activity and compare your results. Figure out where you overlap, figure out where there are gaps. How do you like to give and receive love? How does your partner, for example, like, do you love doing acts of service, but your partner doesn't even like register that as an act of love? That needs to get talked about. You need to communicate that doing the laundry or making breakfast in the morning is a gift from your heart and demonstrates that you love them. It's not just something that you're randomly doing. So have that other person understand what your needs are and where you're coming from with your acts of love. Where you overlap in your love languages is where you want to pay attention to where you can put extra nourishment into your relationship. So, for example, do you both rank really high in physical touch? That's time to brainstorm like activities that incorporate physical touch into them. Like, can you do massages or go get massages together? Maybe you could take a tantric sex workshop or create a makeout bucket list. Side note, I have a makeout bucket list on my website that you can download. Check that out. See what I mean though? Like, whatever your gifts are that you want to give each other, like, you want to give generously and then also receive with great gratitude and demonstrate that gratitude so the other person hears it. It is also super important to make time for each other. You need to carve it out. And I know all of us are super busy. And like my friend Sarah Starr says, none of us have as many hours in the day as Beyonce does, because hours in the day are privilege, right? Like, she has plenty of people that can go run all her errands and like do her hair while she's listening to a podcast. But like, when you have to work 3 jobs, you don't have as much time as another person. So moving past that, we do still need to prioritize things that are important to us. And if your partner is in your life, they're obviously important to you. So if you can just carve out a couple hours or even 1 hour a week for this special person in your life, and then make that time planned and purposeful and make it around your shared interests. So for example, I'm going to throw Joe in here. Joe and I are both really into like roadside attractions and urban myths. So we've recently like implemented this thing that we're calling Fuck Yeah Fridays, where I am cramming my work into Mondays through Thursdays and or doing work on the weekend if I need to. And on Fridays we spend the day like road tripping to places in Maryland or maybe Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, wherever, and visiting like absurd roadside attractions and haunted, spooky places We explore together, take pictures, talk in the car, eat local food, get souvenirs, and say yes to like all the activities that are offered to us. So for example, last week we went to this place called Indian Echo Caverns that had all these crazy caves that we took a 45-minute tour inside of. They had goats, alpacas, chickens, peacocks, a super cool gift shop that we went into, and I paid to get a gemstone bag that I sifted through running water to get raw crystals out of. That same day we found a giant roadside donut. We went up to a hill where we could put our car in neutral, and then it went really fast backwards up a hill, which is based on an urban myth that a school bus crashed with kids that now push your car up the hill. And we explored or trespassed, possibly allegedly, on the DuPont estate, which is the people who made Paint, which is also where M. Night Shyamalan filmed The Village. And it's because the trees are super creepy and they appear to be growing away from the forest. It was like a jam-packed day and we were super exhausted, but super happy at the end. I mean, I found a twig in my tutu at a rest stop bathroom. So if that's not a demonstrative of a successful adventure, I'm not really sure what is. If you're not into these kind of adventures, like, that's completely okay. This is just an example of something that both of us like to do and that we found that overlap within our interests and we do together. You know, like, I'm super into magic and he plays bass. Like, those are things that we don't do together, but we could find that these things are things that we do together. But I do think it's important for you to be able to have fun together. So whatever that is for you, that's important. You need to figure out a way to have fun together, and be able to play together. So I came up with a list of 18 different ways that you can be spontaneous together. And none of the things on this list are including sex. I mean, you can always incorporate sex into whatever you want, but all of these things are things of just ways to keep spontaneity in the mix. So here we go. 18 ways to be spontaneous with your partner. Let's see. Take a trip. Can be a road trip, or you can jump on the next plane flying out. Number 2, each of you plans half of an evening. So like one of you plans the dinner, one of you plans the activity, something like that. Pick 2 elements and then one of you plans each one and then you come together and it's a surprise. Number 3, call out of work and do something. Have a staycation, have a long weekend, or call out of work and do something like whatever. Go to the movies, have a regular date, but call out of work. Number 4, take a really long walk until you can't walk anymore, your feet are aching, and on the walk, take pictures of everything, collect everything interesting you find. There's another video I have on wandering, exploring, and living loudly that you can take notes from that on, and then when you're done, Uber the fuck home, so you don't have to walk the rest of the way home. Number 5, you can create a treasure hunt for each other and then complete them at the same time. So I'm talking about like Leslie Knope style treasure hunt where you put clues all over town or all over, I mean, you can do it in your house, but like you could do it all over town too, right? You could like put them in like places that mean something to you, like the place that you had your first date, the place that you had your first kiss. You can get people at a local bar or the movie theater involved and be like, hey, when Joe comes in here, give him this envelope, and then he has to open it up and there's a clue, right? And you guys both do that at the same time. You could check into a hotel for the night. You could get the local paper, turn to the events page, close your eyes, point to something, and then you have to go do that thing. Or you could just pick a class out together and go do that thing that you plan on doing. You could find an arcade, a playground, or a photo booth. I said photo booth, really weird. You could crash a wedding. You could go to a thrift store and have a competition to see who could come up with the craziest outfit. You can have a candlelit dinner at a fast food restaurant, like get all black tie, dressed up, and then go to Wendy's and like put some silverware and china and candlelit dinner stuff with a tablecloth down and then eat your junior cheeseburger. You can explore an abandoned place, an urban myth, or roadside attraction. You can wake up your partner super early and go watch the sunrise together. Know your audience with this one. I'm not waking up for that. Number 15, you can write all the restaurants in your city that you haven't tried down on flashcards, and every time you want to go out to eat, one of you has to pick out like where you're going. So you just like shuffle the flashcards and blindly close your eyes and pick out the restaurant and you have to go there. You can also take it a step further and close your eyes and pick out the entree that you're ordering on the menu when you get there, or have each other order for each other, or ask the waiter to order for you. You can always add these extra elements of just spontaneity or blindness to something, right? You can go tagging, aka graffiti something together. You could offer to house sit for someone and have a new environment to be in. And number 18, which is my last tip, is to break into a place where you can go swimming. There's a little extra thrill there. And let's not forget the ultimate form of spontaneity in a relationship, which is spontaneous sex. So creating a routine with sex is a recipe for disaster. There's definitely something to be said for knowing what works with sex, but what is objectively sexier? Like saying, do you want to have sex tonight? And then taking off your own clothes, or your partner coming up behind you while you're doing the dishes and kissing your neck until you're rolling around on the kitchen floor. Like, I think most of us would say the latter, right? So you want to keep sex fun, and that includes trying new things. Make a sex bucket list. I have a makeout bucket list on my blog that like I said, you can download. But the sex bucket list can be anything. It could be things you want to try. If you want to explore your kinky side, you can try making a profile on FetLife and looking at the whole fetish section. There's just lists and lists and lists of things that you might have not even thought were possible with sex. It's awesome. And you can always delete your profile. If you're looking for more positivity and resources and encouragement, I do this kind of stuff all the time. I'm doing these talks every week on different topics, and I'm really happy to be able to have talked to you guys about relationships and how to keep them happy, healthy, and spontaneous this week. I do have an ebook full of 30 different pep talks on all different topics, and it's only $5, and you can find it at uncustomary.org/ebook, and you can also find the link in my stories or on my blog. You should totally get that gift for yourself. You can read one pep talk every day for a whole month, or you can binge read them all tonight. It's totally up to you. There's 30 pep talks on unique topics, 30 actionable assignments, 30 inspirational quotes, 30 colorful photographs, and it's totally mobile friendly. And here are some testimonials from past clients. I bought this and influ lessons of the most awesome variety. I say variety because Mary has a ton of ideas and inspiration that leaves you patting yourself on the back for a job well done in treating yourself to these life-changing courses. And that was what Amy said. And then another person said, what an excellent addition. I love the positivity and upliftingness. Haha. I am worthy. I am enough, even though I am enough. Yeah, so that's an ebook that I offer, 30 pep talks for $5. You can get that. And then also I did create a specific unique tapping EFT emotional freedom technique video that goes along with this topic. So specifically based on what we talked about today in this video, I made an EFT tapping technique training for you to utilize as many times as you need to when you're feeling like you're having things to work through, or you're having doubts about your relationship. So that is available to Uncustomary Babes. Uncustomary Babes is my membership group, and that is $5 a month at the lowest tier, and it's available to you as soon as you join, it's available to you. So everything is available, and there's a new resource at least every weekday, and I just am having so much fun putting new stuff in there every day. I'm really proud of the group, and you can look at all of the testimonials and all the things that you get. There's too much stuff to even mention on here, but I really urge you to check out the website for the sign up page. The link for that is in my profile, or you can just go to uncustomary.org/membership. Okay. A lot of people came in and out. It doesn't look like there's that many people here, but if you have any questions, let me know now. Otherwise, I am going to sign off, and this will eventually get uploaded online. So yeah, and if you have any topics that you want me to talk about, please let me know. All right. I hope you have a great Tuesday.